Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. September 9th, 2020 Dars highlights. Major theme for this Dars was receptivity for the Shaykh's instructions. The Shaykh says, the words that I pronounce can be compared to a prayer beads or the rosary. And you're a string. If you have rectitude, strength, presence, then you have receptivity for the words that I say. If you have inclination, mayalan, then you don't have that receptivity. You're unable to receive what's been imparted upon you in the string or the subha of your own hearing. My words deliver you, or they transport you to the secrets behind those words. They transport you from yourself to myself, then to the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. The Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says, this is God's path, so follow it. And do not follow the tangents, the other subul. That is to say, this is an alif, from you to me. I am your end point, and you are the point of departure. You are your own intilaq. So take that journey, and there are 3 dots on that journey. Without 3 dots, you can't form an alif. The 3 dots and the one in the middle of the 3 dots that form a line, they are the line of rectitude, the line of qawl, taqreer and fi'al. The Prophet ﷺ's tacit approvals, his spoken words, and his deeds. In contrast to the words of the Shaykh, or the words of hadith, your words are dry, and they're deprived of force, of this energy. And even when you relate the hadith or the words of the Prophet ﷺ, you deplete them of their own energy. The words die on your tongue. Even God's word, which contains a luminous power, decreases in luminosity on your tongue. The light of bay'ah gives life to the words of the Prophet ﷺ, so that you begin to taste them and live them. And you need to have the intention and the resolve to be receptive of the Shaykh's teachings, of his words, and to follow him. Talaqqi and taba'iyya. Follow the bay'ah, which means you sell your soul and your belongings, and you become a dead body in the hands of your Shaykh, who is your washer, and he becomes your movements. And yet you remain heedless, you remain in a state of ghafla, as if you tell the Shaykh that your point of departure from where you are to the nuqta, the point of wilaya, is going to overpower the point of wilaya. As if to say that the instruction that's expressed and given by the wali is muted by the dot of the murid, because he turns away from it and follows his hawa, his caprice, and thus is led to the tangents that the Nabi ﷺ warns us of. He falls into the subul. At the end of each sabil, each tangent, each offshoot is a shaitan, and it's not a human being, it's a shaitan calling to himself. There's a plurality of these tangents. There's a plurality of distractions and directions, iltifatat, and that's what's hard, is learning how to follow, learning the art of ittiba' on the path. You say that you want to grasp the secret of the lam of love. It's not by being smart, it's through following, through ittiba'. You can grasp the qualification or the delimitation of the ha of absayati, ha'ul huwiya. As for the lam of love, it's half qualified, half unqualified. When you write it orthographically, there's a semicircle denoting the semi-delimited nature of the lam, and then there's half of itlaq, you might say, half of non-delimitation, of the rectitude of the lam extending upwards. And so to perceive the sciences, which are denoted by the second half, the non-delimited half, the upward projecting part of the lam, You can do that if you become a copy of your Shaykh. Then you grasp the asrar. You're unable to grasp the Quran, which is from Allah Ta'ala, except through the Prophet ﷺ. And you can't grasp the esoteric meaning of the Sunnah except through the trace of the wali, in qawl, in fi'l, and in taqreer, speech, deeds, states, tacit approvals. And so if you grasp the wali's word and embody his acts and his affirmations, then you can grasp those of the Prophet ﷺ and of Allah Ta'ala. So it goes back to following, to ittiba', and the light of the star in your heart increases and decreases in the measure of your ability to follow the Shaykh. It's impossible to follow the usul of your Shaykh, moreover, without believing in his illuminative state. If you apply these usuls with following, with ittiba' and with faith and belief, then you will see each particle of good that you do. يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. So stand face to face before the mirror of the Shaykh. Not just one side. Don't just turn half aside to your Shaykh. Turn the entirety of your being to him. Turn your entire direction to the mashriq, from head to toe. That's your wijha, the face, the belly, the feet, and your hands. This is your front-facing direction. وُجُوهٌ إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. Faces, direction, gazing on that day upon their Lord. You see your Lord even with your foot on that day. Your entire wijha, your entire front being sees its Lord. It's part of your wajh. Anything that's part of your wajh sees its Lord. بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ, between their hands, what's before them. That's your wijha. فَوَلِّي وِجْهَكَ, turn your wijha, your face, your direction towards the Masjid al-Haram. What's between your hands, what's before you and in front of you. So does your wijha, is it facing the wijha of your Shaykh? If you come to him turning 30 degrees to him, you're going to receive 30 degrees from him. If you face him with 180 degrees, he will face you with 180 degrees, and together you'll form 360 degrees. And that's talaqi and ilqa. That's receptivity and instruction. And then the Shaykh comments on 360. He says 3 plus 6 equals 9. 9 plus 9 equals 18, and then you have the sir, the secret of the treasure, it's 1, so that's 19, and that's the basmala. That's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim complete. Now welcome to the realm and the sciences of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But it's impossible to read the basmala except if your wijha is facing that of your Lord, of Allah Ta'ala, and you do that through the Shaykh. I want you to taste and experience this hadith. The Messenger ﷺ says, كُلُّ أَمْرٍ لَمْ يُقَالْ عَلَيْهِ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ or Bismillah فَهُوَ أَقْطَعْ أَجْدَمْ. Any affair upon which Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not pronounced is cut off. And the Sunnah here is قَوْل فِعْل تَقْرِير. Speech, words, tacit approval, actions. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't mention Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in this hadith. He just says every word that's upon which basmala is not mentioned is cut off. You have here basmala with word but without deeds, without actions and approvals. He knows your deeds and can't pass away in the divine presence. In other words, the Shaykh is commenting here, he's saying that this hadith doesn't mention your actions and so on. He just says every word that doesn't begin with basmala, because he ﷺ knows your deeds, he knows your actions, and he knows that you don't have the ability of passing away in the divine presence. And so he says, at least let your own words be sincere for God and in pronouncing the basmala. However, you're missing out on 2/3 of the circle of 360 degrees. You're missing out on fi'l, action, and tacit approvals or affirmations, and taqreer, the other two aspects. The 120 degrees left of the sunnah escape you, and you just cling to 60 degrees of your own words. And if you perfect your words, your speech through the basmala with presence, then you gain 60%. Why not 180? When your hawa, when your caprice faces and follows that of the Prophet ﷺ, and still 120% or degrees remain non-manifest. And this is how you revive the words, the speech, the utterances. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, every affair, kullu amr. So you have to see if there's nur in every affair. Look at the nur in your coffee. To begin to bring the circle to completion, you have to start not only applying the basmala and the light on your tongue, but also on your limbs. So he took his cup of coffee and says, look at your coffee and look at nur inside it. Try to visualize the light in it. And then drink the nur. And you're not going to be consuming it just in the mulk. And you'll draw a subtle grace from the luminosity of that cup. I see nur, but I don't have knowledge of the asrar, the secrets to derive the nur that's in the coffee or in the milk. So then the Shaykh gives another example. He says, you say, when you drink milk, the Messenger ﷺ, he recommends us to say, Allahumma barik lana fima razaqtana wa zidna minhu. So like, bless us in what you've given us, Allahumma zidna minhu barik lana fih, and increase us in this milk. This is what you say when you drink milk. It's the prayer of the supplication you're recommended to say before you drink milk. And you're praying to draw blessings from the drink, to draw the barakah from what you're consuming. And for coffee, if you're drinking coffee, there isn't a special prayer. It just goes under the general supplication, which is Allahumma barik lana fima razaqtana. Oh God, bless us in what you've provided for us and give us better than it. And so if you pronounce that hadith on your tongue when you're drinking coffee and you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and you make that supplication, you ask God to bless the provision He's given you, then you're sipping in 60% of the Sunnah. But if you want to perfect it, you have to apply complete mushahada, direct vision, direct witnessing of the light in what you're eating. And that's how you achieve the 180 degrees. When drinking milk, you say wazidna minhu, increases in milk, because it's the highest food. It's the most blessed of all foods and drinks. It has a complete nutrition in and of itself, and its form is like light. It's white, just like nur itself. In comparison with water or honey or wine, the Messenger ﷺ chose milk, laban, and he says, I ascended by the nur. He knows it's white, he knows it's the luminosity of light and of milk, and no drink comes closer to it than milk itself. The others don't resemble it. And so the color white denotes divine primacy or awwaliyah, the firstness of God. It denotes the name al-awwal, the first, to which we're trying to return. And when you drink black coffee, you don't say zidna minhu, grant us more coffee. But when you see the nur in it, then a divine attraction, a jadba, can seize you, can take you. You can have a genuine moment of divine attraction, and you can draw the nur from the black coffee and become absent from yourself and see the nur in the coffee, and you can say, oh God, bless this coffee and give us more of it. And then thereby you return to the root or the asl of what you've been blessed with. And someone observing you drinking the coffee might tell you that you've made a mistake, that you're not supposed to make the supplication of milk on coffee when you're drinking coffee. However, you'll tell them, just leave me alone. For me, this is milk, and for you, it's coffee. That's my state, it's my station, it's my witnessing, it's what I'm experiencing. If you do that without jadb, however, without a genuine divine attraction, then you're corrupting the words of the Messenger ﷺ. And jadb, this divine attraction which transforms coffee into milk, is a presence with God. It's not idle chatter. This is why if you have no rectitude and you begin to study the esoteric sciences, you become a shaitan calling to the tangents, the stray subul of Iblis. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد